Chapter 1646. There were a few more photos, all of which were of Ning Shi's life in China. Although they were all group photos, and there was no flirtatious action between her and the man, the familiarity and chemistry between the two of them could be clearly seen through the photos. And the last photo was dated on the day of Ning Shi's second audition. In the photo, Ning Shi was lying on the bed, sound asleep. The white-haired man was quietly lying on the edge of the bed, his fingers holding onto the corner of the girl's clothes. He had also fallen asleep. Just yesterday, he had received this anonymous email. The other party had used a virtual IP address, so he could not verify who the sender was. Although none of these photos were explicit, each one was enough to make him lose control of his jealousy. Yes, jealousy, although he did not want to admit it. But all the dark emotions that he had deliberately ignored and suppressed in the depths of his heart were now surging out. Every word that Ning Shi had said at that time wreaked havoc in his blood, tearing at every nerve in his body. Lu Tingxiao, actually, I told you from the beginning that I already have someone I like. Very. I like him very much. Although for some reason I can't be with him. He will be in my heart for the rest of his life. No one can replace him, and there is no space for him. No matter how good he is, no matter how perfect he is, he can't be with me. Do you understand? The image on the phone changed. Suddenly, a phone call came in, interrupting his thoughts. The dark expression on Lu Tingxiao's face receded like the tide. He picked up the phone quietly, walked to the back of the house, and answered the call. Hello, boss, we've caught the mole. That guy almost committed suicide. Fortunately, you warned us in advance. And now, we've successfully captured him. Got it. I'll come back tomorrow and interrogate him personally. Yes. Lu Tingxiao hung up the phone, a cold, murderous glint flashing in his eyes. The photos in the anonymous email were definitely not something an ordinary person could get their hands on. No matter who the other party was, he had achieved his goal. Even if he knew that the other party had deliberately sent those photos to intensify the conflict between him and that person. Late at night, in a villa in the suburbs of the capital, he slammed the table and stood up. His face was filled with terrifying anger. What did you say? The Black Dragon has been discovered and is now under the control of Lu Tingxiao's men. The subordinate replied in a trembling voice. Trash. The man's face was unusually gloomy. Have you sent anyone over yet? The underling's forehead was dripping with cold sweat. They went, but we didn't find anything. She had already been transferred. Even if we found her, we probably wouldn't be able to save her. The security is too tight. Of course, he knew this. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so angry. Black Dragon was the code name of one of their informants in Lu Enterprises. He was their deepest chess piece. At present, he had a very high status in Lu Enterprises and provided them with countless important information. However, at the same time, Black Dragon also knew countless secrets on their side. Once the Black Dragon fell into Lu Tingxiao's hands, the consequences would be unimaginable. No, I must think of a way to save him. If I can't save him, I must kill him before he opens his mouth. He paced back and forth in the room. Go get Xiao. Tell her to stop her mission and come back immediately. Yes. The subordinate hurriedly accepted the order and retreated. At this moment, a lazy voice came from the door. It's just a waste of effort. Ah, Shun. He looked at the newcomer. Chapter 1647. It's already in Lu Tingxiao's mouth. Do you think you can get it out? Yin Shun said slowly with a sarcastic look on his face. He frowned. But we can't let the Black Dragon fall into Lu Tingxiao's hands. He knows too much about us. The man raised his eyebrows nonchalantly. So what? He warned him. Shun, don't underestimate him. Lu Tingxiao is not easy to deal with. The man smiled, and his eyes flashed with excitement. What's the point if he's easy to deal with? Xiao Yi's tone suddenly became stern. Shun, you can play as much as you like, but this isn't for you to play around with. Don't forget how your mother died and how the Yun family was destroyed. What does the destruction of the Yun family have to do with me? The man's voice suddenly turned cold. He was stunned. Okay, let's not talk about the Yun family. We'll talk about your mother. Shun, Don't let your mother die in vain. Uncle Qiao, you don't have to remind me. I see her dying in front of me every night. Are you satisfied with this answer? Shun, I know you're in pain, but you have to remember that it was the Liu family that gave you all this. 5 in the morning. The village was quiet, and everyone in the crew was still asleep, except for Lin Jiji and Xiao Tao, who had been too scared to sleep the whole night. With a slight creaking sound, Liu Tingxiao got up and put on his clothes. He was about to get out of bed when a pair of soft arms wrapped around his waist. Where are you going? Liu Tingxiao turned around and kissed the girl's lips. I have to go. She had not woken up at all. She subconsciously shook her head. No, I don't want you to go. Be good. I'll get up and send you off. No, sleep a little longer. Today's filming is very important. Don't delay it. Liu Tingxiao said gently. Unexpectedly, the girl seemed to have heard some heartless words. She suddenly muttered, You only know how to make me earn the dowry. You don't even love me anymore. Liu Tingxiao looked helpless, but the indulgence between his eyebrows was almost melting. I'll stay with you for a while, okay? The girl was satisfied and went back to sleep. After lying down with her for a while and coaxing and kissing, Liu Tingxiao finally left smoothly. If he waited any longer, he wouldn't be able to leave when everyone else woke up. Liu Tingxiao gently closed the door. Just as he walked to the door, he unexpectedly bumped into someone. Song Lin, seeing him coming out of Ning Shi's room. The other party was not as shocked as he had expected. He just raised his eyebrows slightly. Boss Liu, what a coincidence. Before Liu Tingxiao could speak, Song Lin smiled and said, Don't worry, I'll keep it a secret. Thank you, Xiaoxi. Thank you for taking care of me. Because the person in front of him was his wife's idol, Liu Tingxiao was very polite. You're welcome, President Liu. I've always liked this girl, but I didn't expect that the girl I saw in President Liu's office that day was really Xiaoxi. Song Lin murmured meaningfully. Then she looked at Liu Tingxiao and said, President Liu, I have something to talk to you about. When are you free? When I'm free, I'll ask my assistant to inform Miss Song. Song Lin smiled. Okay, then I'll wait for President Liu's news. Chapter 1648. As dawn came, what happened yesterday fermented overnight and now spread all over the internet. An army of internet trolls who always slandered Ning, Shi, and Jiang Xini, who still harbored resentment, all appeared at this moment. My God, it's amazing. The video is still being updated. So far, there have been 9 people. Is she going to sleep with everyone in the entertainment circle? I really thought she was an inspirational movie queen. I didn't expect her private life to be so promiscuous. It turns out that all her resources were obtained by sleeping with others. I didn't believe it before when there was no evidence, but now there is irrefutable evidence. No wonder Jiang Xini's character was snatched away even though it was already hers. So many people have been exposed. I don't know how many people have been slept with by her. Speaking of which, Ning Shi, who was forced out of the entertainment circle by Ning Shi, is so pitiful. No wonder the Ning family would rather have an adopted daughter than a biological daughter. It turns out that she is morally corrupt. Don't talk nonsense before we figure it out. We still don't know who the person in the video is. Enough of someone's internet trolls. Are they all blind? They don't believe it even when there is a picture in the truth. What else do you want? You know who the internet trolls are. You have been driven out of the entertainment circle, but you still hire internet trolls to attack brother Shi every day. It's enough. If you are really so innocent and noble, why don't you leave the Ning family to prove it? Why don't you have the cheek to enter his company? Why don't you give up the glory and wealth that you have robbed? Her fans were fighting for her. Ning Shi couldn't do nothing. Since Liu Tingxiao had promised, he must have a way. Ning Shi discussed with Lin Jiji and then posted a simple message on Weibo. The person in the video is not me. Thank you for your trust. As soon as Ning Shi's Weibo post came out, the fans immediately felt like they had a backbone. Their fighting spirit soared, and they worked harder to fight against the haters. As long as she said it, they would believe it. Ning Shi was moved to see her fans spontaneously explaining and unswervingly believing in her. I used to envy Jiang Mai. I didn't expect that one day I would have so many fans supporting me. Hearing Ning, she mentioned Jiang Mai. Lin Zhizhi suddenly understood something. No wonder with Jiang Mai's personality. He was willing to withdraw. After sending that message, Ning, she went to the shooting location. As soon as she arrived at the scene, the staff gathered in groups of 3 to 5, all looked at her in unison. Ningxi's expression did not change as she said, "Good morning to everyone," and then walked in front of Jiang Xingzhou. Jiang Xingzhou acted as if nothing had happened. He calmly began to talk to Ningxi about the script. Seeing Ningxi's magnanimous performance and the director's attitude, the others had more or less believed Ningxi. After all, they had been working together for quite some time. They had all seen this girl's diligence and hard work. Therefore, most of the staff chose to remain neutral, and some people who were familiar with Ningxi didn't care that they would be implicated and directly logged into Weibo to express their opinions. I believe that the person in the video is definitely not Ningxi. It's nonsense to say that Ningxi became famous by sleeping with people in the entertainment industry, because with her ability, she doesn't need to. Chapter 1649. If they wanted to prove that Ningxi got the position by selling herself, they had to prove that the resources Ningxi got weren't real. But in fact, since Ningxi's debut, every advertisement, endorsement, and movie had been completed exceptionally well. However, the netizens didn't stop there. They started to say that Ningxi was born to flirt with men and that she had a problem with her morals, even though she was capable. Ningxi only made a statement on Weibo and didn't release any more evidence. Soon, this kind of public opinion became overwhelming. On the third night, the other party uploaded another video. The man in the video was one of the important investors of Mother. Those who had been attacking Ningxi were like wolves who saw meat. They started to make a fuss and selectively ignored the fact that even the investors of director Zhang's crew had no right to interfere with the casting. After all, those who wanted to watch a good show wouldn't mind if things got out of hand, so they only chose to watch the most direct and superficial things. However, the twist of events also began with this video. Watching the latest video, Xiao Tao was so anxious that she lost her composure. "Brother Shi, is it really going to be okay? It's been 3 days, but there's no news from Boss, and the evidence is endless. Is Boss really going to be okay?" Ningxi was lying on the bed and applying fresh cucumber slices to her face. She said meaningfully, "Baby, how dare you question Boss's ability?" Xiao Tao was scared. "Brother Shi, I'm not. I'm worried about you, and you're making fun of me. What if Boss can't handle it?" Not only could she not survive in the entertainment industry, but she would also have to bear such a terrible crime for the rest of her life. For a woman, her life would be completely ruined. The other party was so sinister. They obviously wanted to kill Ningxi. Ningxi chuckled. There's no what if. Almost as soon as Ningxi finished speaking, her phone rang. It was Lu Tingxiao. "Sweetheart, are you done?" Looking at Brother Shi, who was usually domineering and cool, but became a little woman in love in a second, Xiao Tao felt that her outlook on life had been impacted. Brother she couldn't be talking to. Boss on the phone, right? Oh my God, Brother she actually called Boss sweetheart. That was so sweet. Ningxi turned on the loudspeaker because she wanted to prove her boss's ability. Sure enough, Lu Tingxiao's voice came from the other end of the phone. "Yeah, did you miss me?" Xiao Tao. "Oh my God, I thought only Brother she was tired of me. Of course, but fortunately, I've been obedient and focused on filming. The progress here is very fast, and I'll be able to go back in a few days. Be good." Xiao Tao personally heard her boss's gentle and frightening tone. It was almost as if he was coaxing a child. "No, the main point is the two of you. In such an urgent situation, can't you get down to business first?" She was really a eunuch who was worried to death when the emperor was not worried. "Xiaoxi, get ready. A press conference will be held at 8:00 tomorrow evening. I've already sent the details to Lin Zhizhi." After being tortured for a long time, Xiao Tao finally heard the key point. Her spirits were immediately lifted. A press conference at 8 p.m. tomorrow? Does that mean Boss already has a way to clarify everything? Chapter 1650. Okay, then I'll ask for a day off from the crew. No need. The press conference will be held in a hotel near your filming location. You can just show up there after work. Well, okay. How could he let all the journalists come to this wilderness to hold a press conference? Boss, you are so awesome. After Ning Shi hung up, Xiao Tao almost jumped up with excitement. She was wrong. She shouldn't have questioned the boss. Ah, Brother Shi, the boss is so handsome and considerate. Originally, Brother Shi had done nothing wrong. Why should he pay for this matter? Since they who added fuel to the fire and wish for the world to be in chaos want to get gossips so badly, they could go there themselves. As soon as Lu Tingxiao called Ning Shi, the official Weibo of Shengshi Entertainment issued a notice, saying that there would be a press conference at the Four Seasons Hotel in City D at 8 o'clock tomorrow evening. At that time, they would respond and explain the so-called sleeping with others. With this news, the whole internet was in an uproar. Shengshi Entertainment finally made a public response. Where the press conference would be held was not the point at all. All the invited media rushed to City D without stopping. Ning Shi slept until dawn, and then went to the crew to continue filming as usual. Because the young actors had more scenes today, and the young girls were not experienced enough, and director Jiang was strict, everyone had to do a lot of takes. It was past 7 o'clock when they finished. At the same time, the entrance of the Four Seasons Hotel was surrounded by journalists. Time ticked by, and it was almost 8 o'clock, but there was still no one on Ning Shi's side. The journalists began to whisper. What's going on? Why hasn't she come yet? Is she playing tricks on us? Could it be that he doesn't dare to come? Let me tell you, Shengshi Entertainment is completely stubborn. The woman in the video is Ning Shi. There is no doubt about it. Since Ning Shi made her debut, I have been in charge of her news in our newspaper. I know her very well. They can't be mistaken. In fact, I also think that whether it's plastic surgery or natural resemblance, there will be flaws. But the woman in the video, even a mole on her earlobe, is exactly the same. How could she be someone else? Exactly. In the midst of the discussion, a white car pulled over. Someone immediately recognized that it was the exclusive car of Shengshi Entertainment. All of a sudden, flashes came one after another, and all the cameras were aimed at that car. Voila! The car door opened, and a woman walked out. The woman had a head of naturally curly hair, and she was wearing a red dress that made her skin look like white jade. When she raised her head, an incomparably delicate and beautiful face was revealed. Ning Shi, what do you think of the videos and photos that have been leaked online recently? You posted on Weibo that the person in the video isn't him. Is that true? Or are you lying? You said that the person in the video is not you. Do you have any proof? The reporters surrounded the woman like a swarm of locusts, one question after another like a barrage of cannons. The woman's face was deathly pale, and her face was filled with guilt. Such an expression was like a catalyst that made all the reporters even more excited, and they were even more certain that their judgment was correct. Two bodyguards in black and Liang Feixing, the director of the public relations department of Shengshi Entertainment, also got out of the car. Seeing that the woman was surrounded, they didn't react at all, nor did they intend to stop her. Chapter 1651. Of course, the reporters also noticed this, and they immediately realized that Shengshi Entertainment was obviously going to give up on Ning Shi. Ning Shi, are you worthy of so many fans who support you and believe in you? It's too much to be a whore. Are you here to apologize to everyone? Just when the reporters were crazily blocking the entrance of the hotel, they suddenly heard a voice behind them. Excuse me, everyone. It was Ning Shi's assistant, Hu Tao, who spoke. Hearing this familiar voice, the reporters subconsciously turned their heads to look. With one look, everyone was dumbfounded. There were three people standing behind them. Xiao Tao, Lin Jiji, and the woman in the middle was that Ning Shi. During the shooting, everyone in the crew had completely returned to rural life, and even after finishing work, they still wore coarse linen clothes. Besides, the shooting was a little late today, so Ning Shi was wearing the clothes she usually wore after finishing work. Her hair was casually braided behind her head, and her skin was darker than before because she had been exposed to the sun for a long time. Looking closely, the skin on her hand was also much rougher, full of tiny scars caused by wheat harvesting and farm work. However, the girl's eyes were abnormally bright and spirited, and her whole body was calm and composed. The first thing that attracted people's attention was her aura, not her appearance and attire. The girl glanced at the reporters on the scene and said calmly and politely, "Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm a little late today." Brother Shi, a female reporter who was squeezed at the back, exclaimed excitedly, "Are you blind? This is my brother Shi, okay?" Ning Shi had an impression of the female reporter who spoke. She was one of Ning Shi's fans and had been fighting on the front line to protect Ning Shi. As expected, she also came this time. Ning Shi looked at the girl and gave her a grateful smile. The female reporter was even more excited. For some reason, she felt that the girl in front of them was still very beautiful, even in coarse linen clothes. A person's appearance could be disguised, but her temperament could not be imitated overnight. As soon as Ning Shi appeared, even though she was quite different from her usual appearance, everyone instantly knew and concluded that the woman in front of them was the real Ning Shi. So, the woman who got off the car just now was actually a fake? The reporters turned back to look at the woman they had surrounded earlier, and their jaws almost dropped in shock. There was really someone who looked so much like Ning Shi. Her facial features and even the position of the mole on her earlobe were exactly the same. It could definitely be passed off as the real one. The premise was that the main character did not appear. This time, before the reporters came to their senses and surrounded Ning Shi, the bodyguards and Liang Feixing had personally escorted Ning Shi into the hotel. The imposter was escorted inside by another bodyguard. The conditions of the hotel here were not comparable to the capital. The multifunctional hall was packed, and even the corridors were full of people, but no one complained. Everyone was fully focused on the stage. Everyone looked at the real Ning Shi and then at the fake Ning Shi. It was too much for their eyes to take in. The efficiency of Shengshi Entertainment had always been very fast, and they did not beat around the bush. In addition, the boss had specially told them to solve the problem as soon as possible and let the lady boss go back to rest. Liang Feixing gave a few simple opening remarks and then asked the staff to turn on the projector behind him. With a click, the big screen lit up, and a report with the name of an internationally renowned plastic surgery hospital appeared on the top. A series of professional plastic surgery terms flashed past, and then suddenly a comparison picture of two faces appeared below. One was before, and the other was after the plastic surgery. The face after the plastic surgery was Ning Shi's face, and the face before the plastic surgery turned out to be the former top sister of Shengshi Entertainment, Su Yimo. Chapter 1652. When they saw the content on the projector, the small and crowded multi-purpose hall became so quiet that they could hear a pin drop. A few seconds later, the reporters recovered from the shock, and the scene was in an uproar. They stared at the fake Ning Shi, and screams rang out incessantly. Oh my God! My eyes are blinded. Isn't the woman in the photo Su Yimo? There's a name on the medical record. It's written in black and white. It's Su Yimo. Wait. Let me think about it. What the fuck? This fake Ning, she was actually Su Yimo's doing plastic surgery? This is like a modern fantasy drama. Back then, Su Yimo used Mrs. Lu's name to run amok in the entertainment industry. She was in the limelight until the real Mrs. Lu appeared. She exposed her on the spot and announced that she already had a girlfriend. After that, Su Yimo disappeared. Everyone thought that Su Yimo had angered Lu Tingxiao and was banned, so they didn't dare to report any news related to Su Yimo. Who would have thought that they would see Su Yimo again in such a shocking situation? Su Yimo, who had disappeared for so long, suddenly looked exactly like Ning Shi. It was as if they were carved from the same mold. This was too scary. Miss, are you really Su Yimo? Are all the women in those videos you are? Why did you get plastic surgery to look like Ning Shi to frame her? Is it because Ning Shi replaced you that you used this method to take revenge on her? There was no need for Liang Feixing to say more. The reporters had already imagined all the causes and effects. Moreover, This reason was completely logical. The only thing they didn't know was that she was Lu Tingxiao's real girlfriend in a fit of rage. They also didn't know why Su Yimo had plastic surgery to look like Shi. "Miss Su, please say something." Facing the reporter's relentless questioning, the woman in the red dress's face turned pale. Her body began to tremble violently, as if she had been stripped naked in front of everyone. Liang Feixing frowned slightly and glanced at the woman, sending her a warning and urging look. Only then did the woman finally raise her head. Her exquisite and beautiful face was completely revealed in front of everyone, causing another wave of exclamations. The crowd quietened down and stared at the woman, afraid to miss a word. It was worth it to come all the way to this small place to hold a press conference. Today's news was enough to shake the entire entertainment industry. She also looked at the woman. Out of her trust in Lu Tingxiao, she didn't ask any questions. She didn't know the woman was Su Yimo until she saw the projector. She stared at the face that looked exactly like her and couldn't describe her feelings. Obviously, she was surprised that Su Yimo could do this. Facing the countless pairs of eyes in front of her, the woman subconsciously turned her head and glanced at Shi. The girl's skin was rough, and her clothes were rustic. Where was the dazzling beauty of the past? This slut, she only relied on her face. Other than that face, what else did she have? And now, for the sake of a few trophies, she actually wasted her only asset. It was simply ridiculous. Chapter 1653. Seeing that the woman was staring at Shi without saying a word, the reporters began to urge her to speak. At this time, the woman looked at the crowd and finally spoke. "I'm Su Yimo." She knew that since the other party had found her and obtained these things, it was useless for her to deny it. Even though the reporters already knew that she was Su Yimo, they were still shocked when they heard her admit it. "It's true. It's really Su Yimo." Is she crazy? Even if she didn't replace her, it must have been someone else, right? She even went through plastic surgery to frame Shi. That's insane. And she slept with so many men under Shi's name. Oh my God, my world is shattered. Just when the reporters were about to confirm the whole story, a tall male reporter in the crowd suddenly raised his doubts. Even if she is Su Yimo, it doesn't prove anything, does it? It's her freedom to do whatever she wants with plastic surgery. But it doesn't mean that the woman in the video is her, does it? If you insist, can I also say that Su Yimo was dragged out by Shengshi Entertainment to take the blame for Shi? The other reporters looked at each other when they heard the tall reporter's words. This possibility was indeed not impossible. Could it be that Shengshi Entertainment really used her as a scapegoat? Maybe. The two of them looked too similar. It's hard to tell the real one from the fake one. The tall reporter smiled smugly and asked deliberately, "Miss Su, were you threatened by Shengshi Entertainment?" Su Yimo rolled her eyes and shrunk her shoulders without saying a word. She looked scared, but her reaction only confirmed the reporter's words. Liang Feixing's expression didn't change at all. He stared at the reporter coldly, and then two pictures appeared on the projector behind him. One of the pictures was taken from the last video of Shi and the investors of the crew of Mother that was exposed on the internet. In the video, there was a phone lying on the bed. The man unintentionally turned on the phone when he moved, and the screen showed the specific date and time. Because the video was very clear, the date and time on the phone could be seen clearly. The second picture was obviously taken from the surveillance video. In the picture, Shi was standing at the door. A woman opened the door and was about to invite her in. This woman was actually Song Lin. More importantly, the time on this surveillance video coincided with the time in the previous picture. What did this mean? Anyone who wasn't blind would understand. Could it be that Shi knew how to clone herself? Otherwise, how could she appear on the investor's bed and at Song Lin's door at the same time? At this time, I invited Shi to visit my home. Who was the person in the video? The sound of footsteps could be heard coming from the door. It was unknown when Song Lin had arrived. Accompanied by the staff, she walked step by step towards the stage in front. It's Song Lin. It's Teacher Song. Song Lin's status in the entertainment industry was self-evident. No one would doubt what she said. Furthermore, the evidence was conclusive, and Song Lin had personally come out to testify. I knew it. The person in those videos can't be Brother Shi. This time, the truth was finally revealed. Brother Shi has an alibi. Teacher Song's words can't be false. Chapter 1654. The tall reporter's face darkened. So what? There's only one video to prove that she wasn't there. Are you an idiot? As long as there's a video to prove that the person in it isn't Ning Shi, then it can prove that this woman is framing Ning Shi. Actually, I've been suspicious before. If Ning Shi is really the kind of scheming villain you guys say, how could she be so careless when doing these things? Every video was captured, and it was so clear, especially her face. Isn't that bullshit? Unless she set it up herself. She plotted for so long, and now she's making a comeback. She's so sinister. Hey, which reporter are you from? Are you Su Yimo's agent? The reporters were all talking at once, and the tall reporter couldn't say a word at all. The tall male reporter saw that the situation was set, so he quietly left the multi-purpose room while the reporters were asking Song Lin questions. However, this person thought that no one noticed him, but he didn't know that he was already being watched. As soon as he walked out of the door, 2 tall and strong bodyguards grabbed him and stuffed him into the car. The press conference was over, and this incident finally came to an end. Su Yimo was in a daze, and her face was ashen. She had never expected such a mistake to occur in the end. Liang Feixing looked at the dumbfounded woman beside him, and a mocking sneer appeared on his face. This woman had released so many videos in one go, thinking that the more evidence she released, the harder it would be for Ning Shi to turn the tables. However, she had forgotten that the more information there was, the more flaws there would be. I want to see Mr. Liu. I have something to say to Mr. Liu. Su Yimo suddenly grabbed Liang Feixing's arm and said excitedly. Liang Feixing pulled the woman's arm away in disgust and said coldly, "Do you think you can see President Liu whenever you want? Come on, the boss was a wife-protecting maniac. How could he dare to send this woman to the boss for sleeping with other men with his face? Wasn't that courting death?" Su Yimo said anxiously, "I'm innocent. Someone forced me. Someone forced me to do this. I didn't want to hurt Ning Shi. How could I dare touch Mr. Liu's woman?" "Someone forced you? Who?" Liang Feixing immediately asked in a deep voice. I want to see Mr. Liu. I'll only talk to Mr. Liu about this," Su Yimo said firmly. Liang Feixing frowned and glanced at her. He walked to the side and called Lu Tingxiao. A moment later, Liang Feixing returned from the call and said impatiently, "Let's go." Mr. Liu agreed to see me. Su Yimo was overjoyed and followed Liang Feixing into the car. After getting into the car, Su Yimo frantically took out her makeup from her bag and started to touch up her makeup. Her makeup today was an imitation of the one Ning she had worn at the Golden Palms Award ceremony. Ever since then, Ning Shi had gained the title of Red Carpet Queen. Looking at herself in the mirror, Su Yimo slowly revealed a smile that she had practiced thousands of times. Her face was blessed by the heavens, perfect and flawless. But now it was hers. Even Ning Shi herself couldn't compare to her. Liang Feixing glanced at the woman through the rearview mirror as he drove. He saw Su Yimo smiling at Ning Shi's face. Although that face was extremely beautiful, it gave him a chill. Chapter 1655. Inside a private room in a private club. Su Yimo's eyes lit up when she saw the cold and arrogant man. "Mr. Liu, cut the crap. Now that you've seen the boss, tell me who's behind this." Liang Feixing urged, afraid that the boss would be unhappy to see her face. "I don't know who he is. He contacted me without telling me who he is, but I was really forced to do this. That man also threatened to kill me if I didn't listen to him. He forced me to have plastic surgery and made me do those things to frame Ning Shi." Su Yimo stared at Lu Tingxiao and said that she didn't do it voluntarily. She looked sad and aggrieved, as if she was also a victim. Liang Feixing couldn't help but roll his eyes when he saw the weeping beauty in front of him. Forced? Even if she had someone behind this, it had to be an accomplice, right? This woman obviously wanted Ning Shi to lose her reputation. and she might even want to seduce the boss with her face. She must have had a good time working with the other party. How could the boss not know something that even he could figure out? Only this stupid woman still dared to lie and look at the boss with such a blatant expression. After listening to Su Yimo's explanation, Lu Tingxiao raised his hand, and someone quickly came to take Su Yimo out. Su Yimo couldn't believe it. Lu Tingxiao didn't say a word to her or even look her in the eye. Mr. Lu, everything I said is true. Su Yimo's voice disappeared outside the door. Liang Feixing walked closer and said tentatively, Boss, should we use some special methods to get information from her? Lu Tingxiao said, no need. It was obvious that Su Yimo didn't know anything. Since the other party dared to do this, they wouldn't leave any clues behind. Liang Feixing also thought of this and said solemnly, Su Yimo can't get anything out of her, and the reporter said he was paid to do this. What should we do now? Is it possible that Su Yimo directed and acted on her own? There's no one behind this at all. You can go back now. Someone will investigate this, Lu Tingxiao said. Oh, got it. I will focus on taking care of the lady boss. Liang Feixing nodded repeatedly, then said, Don't worry, boss. Based on what Su Yimo has done, including framing, slandering, and spreading false information, she'll be locked up in jail for at least 3 to 5 years. Also, her face has recovered to this extent in such a short time. She must have used radical and quick plastic surgery. Her face will be ruined in less than half a year. Let her go, Lu Tingxiao suddenly said. Liang Feixing was dumbfounded. Damn, let her go. Could it be that the boss was soft-hearted because of that face? Pooh, how could the boss be the kind of person who would be blinded by lust? Even if he was blinded by lust, he would only be blinded by the lady boss's beauty. Boss, are you preparing to lure the snake out of its hole? D-City. This press conference was probably the easiest one Ning she had ever held. She didn't even say a word during the whole process. Sister Lin, thank you so much this time. On the way back, Ning she couldn't stop thanking her. Song Lin looked at the girl's grateful little face. Although she didn't put on any makeup and even deliberately exposed herself to the sun for this movie, her skin wasn't in good condition, but she was still cute no matter how you looked at it. Don't thank me. I didn't find a clue. What I did was very easy. I still have to thank you for being willing to help me. So I still have to thank you. In the entertainment industry, it was better to avoid trouble than trouble. No one was willing to get involved in this kind of thing. Moreover, with Song Lin's status, she could completely stay out of it. Ever since she met Song Lin, she felt that Song Lin took care of her too well. It was to the extent that she was flattered. If she was a man, she would probably want to devote herself to the goddess. Chapter 1656. After the press conference of Shengshi Entertainment, all the related videos disappeared from the internet. Then, Su Yimo's crazy action of plastic surgery and shocking gossip became the topic of everyone's leisure time. It wasn't until Ning Shi's movie was finished that the heat of the news died down. Sister Lin, I can finally go back to the capital. To express my gratitude, I'll treat you to a good meal tomorrow night. The night before the filming was done, Ning Shi immediately went to ask Song Lin out. She hadn't been able to thank her properly because she had to rush the filming schedule. The first thing she did when she was free was to make up for the meal. Song Lin showed a regretful expression. Tomorrow? I have an appointment tomorrow night. Can I do it another day? Of course, I'm fine with any day. Song Lin had just returned to the capital, so there must be a lot of people she wanted to see. Ning Shi didn't think much about it and agreed. After returning to the room, Ning Shi called Lu Tingxiao happily. Honey, I'm going home tomorrow. I'll ask Ching Feng to pick you up at the airport. I have an appointment tonight, but I'll try to come back early, Lu Tingxiao said softly. Okay, I got it. Go do what you need to do. The next day, in the imperial capital, at a certain membership-based Chinese private restaurant. Yo, second young master. What brings you here, wearing an embroidered Chong Sam? The lady boss greeted Lu Jingli enthusiastically. I'm treating a few clients to dinner tonight. Help me prepare the private room. Lu Jingli looked like a workaholic. Aya, what a coincidence. Your private room is occupied tonight, the lady boss said apologetically. Someone is using it? Who? Lu Jingli frowned. Boss Lu. The lady boss replied. My brother? How is that possible? Lu Jingli looked surprised. Wasn't sister-in-law coming back today? Who was so important to ask his brother out today? And they were eating here. This private restaurant was called Wangjiang Restaurant. There was a private room specially reserved for Lu Enterprises. There would definitely be a seat if they came. Who's my brother? Lu Jingli asked curiously. This. The lady boss looked a little hesitant upon hearing this. Lu Jingli raised an eyebrow. What else can't you tell me? Of course, the lady boss knew how close the two brothers were. Thinking that there was nothing to hide, she answered, President Lu is meeting Miss Song. Miss Song? Which Miss Song? It's Boss Lu's rumored girlfriend. The lady boss said mysteriously with an expression that said, You don't have to hide it from me. I already know. Lu Jingli raised his eyebrows. Who told you my sister-in-law's surname is Song? The lady boss was stunned for a moment. Is Mr. Lu's girlfriend not Song Lin? Lu Jingli was speechless. Song Lin? The hole in your brain is too big. I'm misunderstood. President Lu is meeting Miss Song Lin tonight. I thought. I'm sorry. The lady boss apologized with a smile. Lu Tingxiao's rumored girlfriend had always been a mystery, but many people guessed that it was someone from the entertainment industry. Who else in the entertainment industry would be qualified to attract a man like Lu Tingxiao? Song Lin was the most likely. So when a lady boss saw that Lu Tingxiao was meeting Song Lin tonight, she subconsciously thought that it was Song Lin. She didn't expect it to be her. That was really strange. Who could it be? Chapter 1657. Lu Jingli touched his chin when he heard the lady boss's words. What? My brother is meeting Song Lin tonight? Why'd he ask Song Lin out? Recently, Lu Enterprises had been in a fierce struggle with the other side. All the major shareholders were competing to win over Song Lin, who had 5% of Lu Enterprises shares. Was it related to this matter? Thanks, I see. Lu Jingli thought absent-mindedly as he unconsciously walked to the door of the private room. Based on his instincts that were as sharp as a radar, he somehow felt that things might not be that simple tonight, at this moment, in the private room. Thank you for your help last time, Miss Song. Lu Tingxiao toasted the person opposite him. Song Lin took a sip of wine and said with a smile, President Lu, you're welcome. I will certainly help Xiaoxi. Hearing this, Lu Tingxiao was slightly stunned. Song Lin continued, Xiaoxi and I hit it off very well. I've always liked her. There are few girls like her in the entertainment industry. She really likes acting. She has such a good appearance, but she is still willing to work hard and always keeps her heart. Even though she has a backer like President Lu, she never uses it. It's really cute, Song Lin said a lot, but Lu Tingxiao just listened quietly from beginning to end without interrupting her. As expected, Song Lin suddenly changed the topic. President Lu, do you know that someone recently offered a high price to buy 5% of Lu Enterprises shares from me? Lu Tingxiao nodded. I know a little. Compared with those who were hard to shake, Song Lin, who was neutral, was naturally the best target for the other party to win over. This was also expected, and this was another reason why he asked Song Lin out today. Outside the private room, Lu Jingli's nerves tightened when he heard this. Oh my God, it was really because of the shares. For some reason, he had a bad premonition. What was going on? I'm struggling. Should I sell the shares or not? Song Lin shook the red wine glass in her hand and said meaningfully. Her hint was very obvious. Your condition. Lu Tingxiao went straight to the point. Since the other party came to him, it meant that there was room for negotiation. In other words, the other party wanted something from him. Outside the door, Lu Jingli was biting his nails nervously. Damn, with this situation, he could already predict what would happen next. After all, there were so many women who wanted to marry into the Lu family that they could twist the entire capital into a ball of yarn. Was Song Lin going to use the shares to threaten her brother? Actually, I'm not interested in money. Acting is just a way to kill time. But recently I found something I haven't seen for a long time that I really want, Song Lin said as she stared at the man opposite her. What I want is outside the private room. Lu Jingli was beating his chest and stamping his feet anxiously when he heard this. He was like an ant on a hot pan. Damn. As expected, he had really guessed everything correctly. As expected, this Song Lin also harbored ill intentions towards her brother. The next sentence that Song Lin was going to say would definitely be, I want you, I want Ningxi. Lu Tingxiao, Lu Jingli, who was nicknamed Divine Mathematician. What? What did Song Lin just say? There must be a problem with the way he eavesdropped. Chapter 1658. The person Song Lin liked was not his brother, but Little Cece. The development of this plot was like a wild dog out of control. It was completely out of the ordinary. Lu Jingli stood at the door of the private room in a daze. He looked as if he had been struck by lightning, and his whole body smelled burnt. My little Cece is amazing. He almost wanted to kneel down in front of that girl. He felt so sorry for his brother. There was a full 10 seconds of silence in the private room. She's not an object. The man's face was as cold as frost, and the atmosphere in the private room suddenly sank. This was the result of him suppressing his emotions for Ningxi's sake. President Lu, you understand what I mean. Song Lin looked at him. I completely understand why you chose little Cece. She is indeed too cute and charming, and what you like is just her beautiful appearance. In that case, there should be a more suitable candidate than her in front of you, right? Song Lin was obviously referring to Su Yimo. As for little Cece, she was born for her dream and for all the fans, not someone's pet or exclusive property. She is not a pet, nor is she an exclusive property, but someone I will spend my life with. Song Lin did not seem to expect to hear such an answer. She looked stunned for a moment and frowned slightly. I think President Lu knows very well that you are not suitable for her at all, and you can't give her what she wants, but I can help her reach the height she most desires in life. At this moment, suddenly, there was a plop. Lu Jingli was too shocked to stand still and fell into the room. Song Lin and Lu Tingxiao's eyes subconsciously looked toward the door. Both Song Lin and his brother's expressions were somewhat indescribable. Lu Jingli got up with a bitter face and scratched his head awkwardly. Aha, I was just passing by and accidentally fell in. You guys can continue. After saying that, he disappeared like a wisp of smoke. 5 seconds later, Lu Jingli ran back and poked half of his head in nervously. He coughed softly and said, Ahem, beauty song. Actually, you're mistaken about one thing. Little Cece's dream is to stand at the top of the entertainment industry, but she's so eager to reach the pinnacle of life. It's all because she wants to marry my brother. After Lu Jingli finished speaking, he slammed the door shut and left, hiding his achievements and fame. Song Lin, Ning Tianxin was about to go abroad, so Ningxi took the opportunity to invite her out for dinner. Big sister Tianxin, Wangjiang restaurant's Chinese dishes are really good. If you go overseas, you won't be able to eat as much good food as our foodie country. You have to eat more tonight. Ningxi held Ning Tianxin's arm intimately and sighed. The two sisters were walking inside when they unexpectedly bumped into two people head-on. Lu Tingxiao and her goddess, Ning. She was confused when she saw the two of them walking out of a box together. Could it be that the goddess said she had an appointment tonight, and the person was Lu Tingxiao? Lu Tingxiao was talking about Sister Lin? Ning, she blinked, and it took her a long time to react. She hurriedly greeted them. Boss, Sister Lin, come over for dinner too. Although Ning, she's tone sounded normal, her expression was obviously a little unnatural as she looked at the two of them. Seeing Ning Shi's reaction, Lu Tingxiao knew that she might have misunderstood something. He frowned slightly, but it was not convenient for him to explain in this situation. Yes, something came up at the company. Chapter 1659. Oh, I have dinner with Sister Tianxin. Lu Tingxiao ruffled her hair. I'll wait for you. Okay. After that, the two of them walked in their respective directions. Halfway through, Ning she couldn't help but turn back to look at the backs of the two. Although Song Lin was slightly older than Lu Tingxiao, she had taken good care of herself. No one would doubt that she was a young lady in her 20s. However, The aura she exuded was not something an ordinary girl could compare to. Standing next to Lu Tingxiao, it was as if they were two kings standing side by side. That was what she had always wanted, to be able to stand side by side with Lu Tingxiao. Ning, she was watching, and vaguely seemed to have heard their conversation. "Boss Lu, I'm serious about what I've said today. I hope you can consider it carefully." "No need." Ning, she had been absent-minded since she entered the room. Ning Tianxin saw what happened just now and asked worriedly, "Xiaoxi, are you all right? Didn't Mr. Lu say it? We're talking about the company. Don't think too much." Ning, she banged her head on the table. "Ouch! How can you do this?" Ning Tianxin was about to persuade her when Ning, she said, "My goddess and Mr. Boss are a perfect match. Don't you think?" Ning Tianxin was speechless. She didn't expect this at all. Ning, she sighed for a while, and then she was so excited that she wanted to roll on the ground. "I feel like my idol has been snatched away." Ning Tianxin didn't know what to say. This girl wasn't worried about Lu Tingxiao being robbed, but worried about Song Lin being robbed? Perhaps it was because in this girl's subconscious, she was certain that no one could snatch Lu Tingxiao away from her. Ning Tianxin had been worried about Ning Shi and Lu Tingxiao, but as time went by, she knew that Lu Tingxiao was serious about Ning Shi. What moved her the most was their trust in each other. Platinum Palace. Lu Jingli rushed in as soon as Lu Tingxiao got home. On the sofa in the living room, his brother was frowning and pinching his forehead. Lu Jingli sympathized with him. The men who wanted to steal his brother's wife had evolved to such an extent. They were getting more and more vicious. Lu Jingli walked over and sighed. "Brother, it's my fault. I didn't find out Song Lin's background. She hid it so well. Who would have thought that she's so open to both men and women?" At this point, Lu Jingli carefully glanced at his brother and then muttered, "You know, Song Lin has an extraordinary place in little Cece's heart. If this woman can't lay her hands on you, she will directly lay her hands on little Cece. I'm really afraid that little Cece won't be able to control herself." Lu Jingli shivered when he saw his brother's death stare, but he still forced himself to say, "Brother, don't doubt me. I've been in the entertainment industry for a long time, so I know all too well how important an idol is to a fan. Not to mention a boyfriend, even a husband has to step back in front of an idol at a critical moment. All in all, his brother's rival in love this time was really awesome. Chapter 1660. After dinner, Ning, she sent Ning Tianxin home and drove to the palace. Ning, she had a lot on her mind on the way. She wanted to hug Little Bun when she remembered that Little Bun was still at the mansion. Thus, Ning, she suddenly became like a sunflower without the sun. She threw herself on the sofa with her head down and head down. She didn't know how long she had been in a daze when she heard footsteps behind her. "Why are you lying here?" Ning, she turned around and saw Lu Tingxiao in his pajamas. He seemed to have just taken a shower. Looking up and down at the handsome man in front of her, Ning, she suddenly puffed her cheeks and showed a dissatisfied expression. Lu Tingxiao sat down next to her. "Something's on your mind?" Ning, she nodded. "Yeah." Lu Tingxiao asked, "Because of Song Lin?" Ning, she nodded again. "Yeah." Lu Tingxiao deliberated over his words, thinking about how to broach the subject. "My goddess suddenly became my rival. How am I supposed to face my goddess in the future?" Ning, she complained. Ning Shi and Lu Jingli had the same thought at the beginning. They both thought that Song Lin liked Lu Tingxiao. Hearing this, Lu Tingxiao, "Honey, you're thinking too much. Song Lin isn't your rival. She's mine." Ning, she didn't notice Lu Tingxiao's strange expression. She was still feeling sad. But this person was Song Lin, the idol she had always admired. Even she felt that Song Lin was almost perfect and more compatible with Lu Tingxiao than her. Lu Tingxiao sighed when he saw the girl's hesitation. He didn't tell Ning Shi the truth. After all, Song Lin was Ning Shi's idol. He didn't want to ruin Ning Shi's pure and beautiful relationship. Lu Tingxiao said, "It's good that you know. So, you better not get too close to Song Lin in the future." Ning, she felt that Lu Tingxiao was right. She nodded. "I know. After all, their relationship was too awkward." Lu Tingxiao hugged the little girl's frosty eggplant head on his shoulder and continued to coax her. From today onwards, try to avoid being alone with Song Lin, understand? Ning Shi. Okay. Lu Tingxiao continued. Don't accept her invitation after 10 p.m. Ning Shi. Oh, Lu Tingxiao. Keep your distance and avoid any physical contact. The corners of Ning Shi's mouth twitched slightly. The first two are understandable, but why is this one? We're all women. Isn't it normal for us to hug each other? To avoid any conflicts, Lu Tingxiao casually explained. Ning Shi scratched her head. Oh, was that so? Why did she feel that there was something strange about these three requests when they were linked together? Forget it. I won't think about it anymore. Ning Shi rolled into Lu Tingxiao's arms, her watery eyes full of desire. Sweetheart, I miss little Bun. Do you have work tomorrow? Lu Tingxiao asked. Ning Shi's eyes immediately lit up. No, I'm off tomorrow. Other than sending Sister Tianxin to the airport, there's nothing else. All right, I'll bring Xiao Bao back tomorrow. When she heard that she could see little Bao, Ning Shi instantly forgot all her worries. Chapter 1661. In a private room of a bar in the capital, the woman took out a contract from her bag and put it on the tea table. Then she lit a cigarette and took a drag lazily. Tang Ye's eyes lingered on the contract for a second, and then he reached out to take it. After a quick look, he was surprised to find that the transfer of shares had been signed with a woman's name, Song Lin. Yinshun leaned back on the sofa, holding a glass of red wine in his hand, and glanced at the signed transfer of shares. What's wrong? Miss Song, have you changed your mind? Song Lin unhurriedly spat out a mouthful of smoke. I have no reason to refuse President Yen's offer, do I? Yinshun glanced at the woman opposite him with a faint smile. He certainly didn't believe that she sold the shares to him because of this offer. If she was really tempted by this offer, she wouldn't have waited so long. I didn't expect that. Miss Song is also interested in Mrs. Lu's position. Yinshun's words were explicit. The implication was that Song Lin was going to use the 5% shares to fight for Lu Tingxiao, but she failed. Song Lin raised her eyebrows and said quietly, I do have something I'm interested in, but it's not Lu Tingxiao. Oh, Song Lin seemed to think of something, and her eyes suddenly lit up. President Yin, do you know the little girl beside Lu Tingxiao? Yin Shun's hand that was shaking the wine glass subconsciously paused. Ningxi? I've heard of her. Why? Song Lin tilted her head and chuckled. She's cute. The corner of Yin Shun's mouth twitched. Even Tang Ye's face darkened. Obviously, neither of them had expected to hear such an answer. Song Lin raised her eyebrows and said, President Yin can't be such a vulgar person, can he? Yin Shun's face darkened. He was not interested in Song Lin's sexual orientation, nor did he think it was strange. But the man she liked, he really didn't expect that the reason why Song Lin chose to stand on the same front with him was so incredible. He guessed that Song Lin used the 5% shares to exchange for Ningxi with Lu Tingxiao, but Lu Tingxiao refused, so she turned to him. On one hand, it was because of Lu Tingxiao's rejection. On the other hand, it was probably because he still hadn't given up. The Lu family had long wanted to unite by marriage. The greater the pressure on Lu Enterprises, the more they would urge and speed up this matter. At that time, Lu Tingxiao would marry another woman, and the two would naturally break up. After thinking for a moment, Yinshin stretched out his hand. Well, Miss Song, it's a pleasure to cooperate with you. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. There was another saying, the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Happy cooperation. Yinshin was about to continue to talk about the details of the contract when his phone suddenly rang. Hello, boss, we've rescued Black Dragon. Rescued? Yinshin looked surprised. Got it. I'll be right back. After answering the phone, Yinshin looked at the woman in front of him apologetically. I'm sorry. I have something urgent to deal with. I'll talk to you another day. President Yin, please do as you please. In a garden in the suburbs of Beijing, Yinshin and Tang Yi hurried back. What's going on? Who did it? Yinshin asked in a deep voice. Even Feng Xiao failed to get Black Dragon out. How'd he get Black Dragon out now? Originally, he had already prepared for the worst, because based on his understanding of Lu Tingxiao, he would never give them any chance to rescue him. Chapter 1662. The man replied hurriedly, I was patrolling at night when I suddenly found someone at the gate. I took a closer look and found that it was Black Dragon. Yinshen narrowed his eyes. You mean Black Dragon appeared at the gate by himself? Yes. Did anyone on our side do it? The man frowned and said in a low voice, At first, I thought it was one of our people, but I checked and found that after you gave the order last time, we gave up the operation. I don't think anyone would act on their own. Boss, do you think Black Dragon escaped on his own? Yinshen glanced at him unhurriedly. Huh, escaped on his own? Why don't you try to escape? The man shivered in fear and stopped talking. After all, not only had Feng Xiaoxiao failed to save the Black Dragon, she had almost been imprisoned herself. The Black Dragon had been tormented to the point where he was on his last breath. So how could he have escaped? Where is he? Yinshen asked. He's upstairs, but he's still unconscious. Inform me immediately when he wakes up. Yes. Yinshen looked at Tang Yi, who had been silent all this while. He leaned over and put his arm on Tang Yi's shoulder. Yi, what are you thinking about? Tang Yi came back to his senses and said thoughtfully, I just feel that this is very strange. It's impossible for Black Dragon to escape on his own, but it's not our people who did it either. What does this mean? Someone is helping us in the dark. Naturally, he had also thought of this. Tang Yi looked at the man who had discovered the Black Dragon. Send someone to check on Lu Tingxiao's reaction. Yes. Soon, the man on the other side sent a message. Boss, Brother Yi, we've asked around. Lu Tingxiao's place was broken into by an unknown person tonight and took away Black Dragon without leaving any traces. Lu Tingxiao's people don't know who did it. I guess they think it's our people. The man replied hurriedly. Broken by force? Yinshen said with a drawl. Tang Yi's expression changed slightly. The place where Black Dragon was imprisoned was full of traps. It didn't just require good martial arts skills. One also needed to know all kinds of ways to crack the traps and extremely rich experience. Someone who could meet all these requirements, Tang Yi said in a low voice. What we can be sure of is that someone is secretly helping us. There are two possibilities for this person's identity. The first possibility is that this person's overall strength is above Xiaoxiao's. Among the people I know, no one would suddenly help us in this matter for no reason. The second possibility is that there's a mole on Lu Tingxiao's side. That's why he was able to smoothly break in and take her away. Yinshen touched his chin. It's getting more and more interesting. Boss, the Black Dragon is awake. At this time, someone hurriedly ran over to report. In one of the rooms upstairs. When a man on the bed saw Tang Yi and Yinshen, he immediately struggled to get up. Boss, Brother Yi. Tang Yi reached out and pressed on the man's shoulder. You don't have to get up. Just lie down. I just have something to ask you. Who was the person who saved you? The Black Dragon was taken aback. Didn't you send someone to save me? You didn't see the person who saved you? Tang Yi frowned. The Black Dragon tried hard to recall. I remember that I fell asleep, and then someone approached me, but I didn't have time to see who it was before I lost consciousness. When I woke up, I was already here. However, as time went by, he realized that although the little fellow was very serious, she was a little too serious. She had spent so much time just selecting the candidates for the preliminary selection that the tea party had yet to officially start. The situation was getting worse and worse. They really couldn't wait any longer. Grandpa, Grandma. At this time, a soft and squishy little bun walked down from upstairs. Chapter 1664. Today, Little Bun was dressed extremely adorably. His cheeks were rosy, and he called out Grandpa and Grandma in a childish voice. It was enough to melt people's hearts. Even if he asked them to pluck the stars from the sky, they would definitely pluck them for him without hesitation. Hey, Xiaobao, come to Grandpa. Lu Chongshan's face was full of anger just now, but when he saw his precious grandson, he immediately smiled. Hug, Grandpa. The little boy enthusiastically opened his short arms and walked toward his grandfather. Lu Chongshan was so happy that he didn't know what to do. He quickly hugged the little boy in his arms. Okay, Grandpa, hug. Grandpa, Papa will come to take Xiaobao home later. Xiaobao hasn't been with Papa for a long time. But don't worry, Grandpa. Xiaobao will come back soon to accompany Grandpa. Grandpa, don't miss Xiaobao too much. The little boy coaxed him as if he was coaxing a child, acting like a little adult. Lu Chongshan was extremely comforted. Okay, my Xiaobao is so obedient and filial. Yin Rui was speechless as she looked at her husband's sudden change in attitude. She coughed lightly to remind him. Who was the one who was so anxious just now? But as soon as he saw Xiaobao, he forgot everything. Lu Chongshan finally reacted and coughed slightly awkwardly. He then looked at his precious grandson and asked in an extremely gentle tone, Xiaobao, have you chosen the name list? You have to make a decision within this month. Xiaobao rolled his eyes. He knew that this was the best he could do, and it was time to move on to the next step. Thus, he nodded decisively. Okay, Grandpa, Xiaobao will definitely do it as soon as possible. It will be done in a few days. Lu Chongshan immediately let out a long sigh of relief. That's good. Sigh, his precious grandson was indeed the most obedient and considerate. Xiaobao went to Grandma again and held her hand. He asked seriously, Grandma, what kind of daughter-in-law do you like? Xiaobao will help you choose a daughter-in-law who is the most obedient, sensible, and filial like Xiaobao. Take care of Grandma together with Xiaobao and be filial to Grandma. Hearing this, Yin Rui was so touched that she didn't know what to do. Xiaobao is so obedient. Thank you, my good grandson. Yin Rui and Lu Chongshan were chatting happily with their grandson. When Lu Chongshan saw his son walking in from the corner of his eyes, his face immediately darkened. Lu Chongshan, coming. Lu Tingxiao glanced at his son, who had managed to coax his parents into submission. Okay, I'm here to pick up Xiaobao. Lu Chongshan's expression turned even worse. How could he not know that he was picking up Xiaobao to meet that woman? He just didn't want to make Xiaobao unhappy. You know about what happened to Songlin? Lu Chongshan asked in a deep voice. I know. Lu Tingxiao's face was expressionless. Lu Chongshan felt as if he had punched cotton. Because he didn't want to talk about this in front of Xiaobao to avoid a quarrel, he didn't continue in the end. Go on, take care. Goodbye, Grandpa. Goodbye, Grandma. All right. Goodbye, little treasure. Be careful on the road. After getting in the car, Xiaobao immediately switched from a cute and obedient grandson to a noble and elegant state. Where's Mom? Without a doubt, the first thing he asked was his mother. She's at your aunt's place. We'll send her off at the airport later, Lu Tingxiao answered. Yes. Little Bun nodded and didn't say anything else. She buried her head and fiddled with her phone. Who knew what she was fiddling with? You're the one I'm most worried about. Qin Mufeng looked innocently at Lu Tingxiao for help. Lu Tingxiao put his arm around Ning Xi's shoulder and patted her reassuringly. Okay, good girl. We don't have much time. Mufeng is very familiar with the airport. I'll ask the assistant of the branch company to pick him up. There won't be any problem. Okay. Ning Xi finally let go of Ning Tianxin reluctantly. Sister Tianxin, goodbye. Xiaobao, come say goodbye to your aunt. Chapter 1666. Xiaobao walked up to her obediently and said, Auntie, this is the present I prepared for you. The little boy gave her a parting gift. It was a portrait of Ning Tianxin that he had drawn based on the photo his mother had sent him. He even framed it. The little boy rarely drew portraits other than his mama. It was obvious that he liked his aunt very much. Ning Tianxin took it and looked at the little boy with a gentle expression. She squatted down and hugged him. Thank you, Xiaobao. I like it very much. The little boy's body was soft and had a milky fragrance. It made one's eyes water. Ning Tianxin quickly let go of the little boy. Xiaoxi, I'm leaving. You should go back now. Okay, take care. Ning Xi was a little disappointed after seeing Ning Tianxin off. Xiaobao saw his mother was sad and immediately comforted her. Mom, don't be sad. All good things must come to an end. I believe that Annie will have a new and better start. Ningxi looked at her baby son and smiled. Yes, Xiao Bao is right. Qin Mufeng said he was going to China on a business trip. He could go with Ning Tianxin and take care of her on the way. He had already told Ningxi his intentions towards Ning Tianxin, so Ningxi knew that he had an ulterior motive. However, she didn't know if they could be together in the end. If it was possible, Qin Mufeng was indeed a good partner. In the distance, the plane roared as it rose into the sky, gradually moving further and further away until it disappeared. Ningxi finally looked away and sent a message to her friend's circle. All good things must come to an end. My dear sweetheart, I believe that you will have a new and better start. In a high-end villa area in the capital, a lively wedding was going on. A group of people were laughing and joking. The atmosphere was very warm. Don't go in. Don't go in. Where's the red packet? Give me the red packet. No, it's not enough. Do 100 push-ups first. Wow, you guys are cheating. How can you do 10 push-ups each? Mo Lingtian followed the groomsmen and mingled with the crowd. From time to time, he would come up with some bad ideas. After struggling for a long time, he finally helped his brother enter the door smoothly. Zhua Haoran was one of the libertines in their circle. Usually, he was very playful. At this moment, looking at his wife, he smiled like a fool and clumsily helped the girl put on her shoes. Mo Lingtian stood leaning against the wall, quietly watching the scene in front of him. At this moment, it was so lively, but somehow his heart felt empty. His phone rang from time to time. He casually opened his WeChat moments and scrolled through it. It was all his friends' blessings for Zhua Haoran's wedding, and he casually gave them a few likes. As he continued to scroll down, Mo Lingtian's expression froze in an instant. She devil. All good things must come to an end. My dear sweetheart, may you have a new beginning. She devil was his remark for Ningxi. Sweetheart. Seeing this word and the meaning of this sentence, Mo Lingtian's expression became inexplicably tense. He hurriedly clicked on the photo below. The accompanying picture was a picture. In the picture, there was an exquisitely framed portrait of a person with a bright and exaggerated style. However, based on the features of the portrait, it was easy to recognize that the person was Ning Tianxin. Chapter 1667. Mo Lingtian looked at the message and the picture on the phone over and over again. Judging from the style of the picture, it was drawn by Xiao Bao. The person in the picture should be Ning Tianxin. All good things must come to an end. What did it mean? At this time, he noticed that Ningxi's current location showed that she was at the capital airport. After seeing the location clearly, Mo Lingtian's fingers trembled slightly. Before his brain could react, his body had already rushed out. Hey, Mo Lingtian, where are you going? Where's this guy going? I don't know. All the voices disappeared behind him. Mo Lingtian went downstairs and got into the car as fast as he could. Sitting in the driver's seat, Mo Lingtian glanced at the message from the corner of his eyes again. Just as he was about to start the engine, his expression froze, and he suddenly stopped all his movements. Ningxi's status was posted an hour ago. This meant she might have left long ago. Even if she hadn't left, it would take at least 2 hours to get to the airport during the morning rush hour. No matter what, he couldn't make it in time. For a moment, Mo Lingtian felt as if he had suddenly fallen from a high cliff. The feeling of weightlessness and dizziness engulfed him in an instant. He didn't know how much time had passed, but he was still leaning against the steering wheel with his phone in his hand. The place where his heart beat seemed to have been hollowed out, and the cold wind whistled through it. It seemed that he didn't realize until this moment that the girl who always stayed in the same place no matter when he turned around had really left his life after leaving the airport. She was still thinking about Ning Tianxin. Sweetheart, let me ask you, what kind of person is Qin Mufeng? Is he reliable? He has a good personality. His private life is simple. His family environment and parents are tolerant and open-minded. Lu Tingxiao's simple words contained all the things that Ningxi cared about. Ningxi's expression softened a little. I hope this guy can work hard. I don't know how good he is at flirting with girls, but he is a psychology major. If he can't do it, Let him ask me. I'll teach him. As long as it's not mo cha-cha. As long as he treats my sister Tianxin sincerely. I'll help him unconditionally. Lu Tingxiao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She was even more anxious than Qin Mufeng. This kind of thing can't be rushed. Your sister needs to think it through herself. I know. Ning Shi sighed. She couldn't be blamed for being so anxious. It was because she knew Ning Tianxin's personality too well. With her personality, the last thing she wanted was to bring trouble to others. The better the person treated her, the more she would do that. She was afraid that she would really choose to be alone for the rest of her life. It wasn't easy for her to come out and meet up with little Bon. Ning, she tried her best to raise her spirits. Baby, where do you want to go to play today? Mom, can we go to the amusement park? Of course. In this aspect, little Bun was exactly like an ordinary child. Whenever she had time, she would let her take her to various places where other children played. She even took her to KFC once. The reason was because she saw that other children liked to go there. Little Bun gradually blended into the crowd and became like an ordinary child. Ning, she was naturally the happiest. The family of 3 played for a whole day and then happily returned home with great satisfaction. Mommy, can we go up to the roof and look at the stars? After reaching home, little Bun suddenly raised his little head, his eyes abnormally bright as he requested, Mommy, can we go to the roof and look at the stars? Chapter 1668. Ning, she chuckled and rubbed the little guy's head. Okay. Then she took the little Bun to the roof. Lu Tingxiao followed behind him and looked at his son thoughtfully. When they reached the roof, Ning, she looked up at the sky and said regretfully, It's a pity that we can't see so many stars in the capital. I'll take you to the Peach Blossom Land next time. The little Bun looked at his mother with satisfaction. Mom, it's okay. We can see something else. Ning, she blinked in confusion. Something else? What? The little Bun pursed his lips and pointed to the sky. This. Ning, she looked in the direction of little Bun's finger and saw a flash in front of her eyes. A cluster of flames rose vertically from the horizon and then exploded in the air with a bang. Then, dazzling fireworks exploded and turned into a few words at the same time. Lu Jingli, who was tasting wine on the balcony next door, and Jiang Mai, who was playing games in the villa behind, heard a sudden bang. Then they saw the dazzling fireworks in the sky, which formed 3 words, I love you. Jiang Mai's face darkened as he looked at the 3 words. His hand trembled and the game character on the screen died tragically. Fuck! Lu Jingli crawled up from the ground, leaned on the railing, and looked up at the sky. Fuck! Can't you do it? You're an old couple, and you're still showing off your love. Can't you let me rest for a few days? My heart is full of holes. Just as Lu Jingli was spouting off nonstop, there was another explosion, followed by 2 big fireworks in the sky. Mom. I love you, Mom. Lu Jingli suddenly froze in place, dumbfounded. He thought it was his brother who was playing romantic, but it turned out to be Xiao Bao. My little Bun, how old was he? This damn child was simply too amazing. So what if he looked good? Jiao Mai looked at the words, I love your mom, and I love you, Mom, and 10 miles of spring breeze is not as good as Mom outside the window. So he was only a little Bun away from his wife. This godlike assist was enough to make him kneel. Compared to Lu Jingli and Jiang Mai, the one with the most complicated feelings was a certain great demon king. In the morning, he had already discovered that the little fellow was secretly preparing something, but he didn't expect it to be this. Son, do you know you stole your father's job? However, the little fellow did remind him that as time went by, the 2 of them became more and more compatible and tacit, so much so that the way they interacted with each other became more and more like an old couple. In addition, he really wasn't good at this aspect, so it did lack a bit of passion and romance. Although his son did not inherit these skills from him, he did inherit a lot of romantic genes from Ning Shiwao. These are Ning, she hadn't recovered yet, and her face was full of surprise. Even if her flirting skills were top-notch and she was familiar with all kinds of tricks, Ning, she was still as excited as a young girl. Xiao Bao, did you prepare this for Mommy? Xiao Bao nodded shyly. with a hint of nervousness and anticipation in his eyes. "Mom, the books say that girls need romance. Mom, do you like it?" Ningxi's response was to hug little Bun and kiss him fiercely. I love it." Chapter 1669. Ding, ding. Ningxi received 2 messages on her phone. "Dirty Demon King. Fuck, I'm moving. See you. Koi Prince Woof." Puff. Ningxi burst out laughing. After watching the fireworks, Ningxi reluctantly sent Xiaobao back to the old mansion with Lu Tingxiao. They returned to the palace. Lu Tingxiao took out a square black velvet gift box from his pocket and handed it to her. Ningxi blinked. "What is it?" "A gift," Lu Tingxiao replied. Ningxi took it and asked suspiciously, "It's not a holiday. Why are you giving me a gift? Do I need a reason?" Lu Tingxiao raised an eyebrow. He looked like an overbearing CEO. Ningxi chuckled and opened the box. The next second, she was almost blinded. Oh my! Lu Tingxiao had given her a diamond necklace. It seemed to be the newest model from TFN called Full Sky of Stars. It was indeed as its name suggested. It was too dazzling. Ningxi looked at the sparkling diamond necklace with an indescribable expression. "What's wrong?" Lu Tingxiao asked. "Sweetheart, you like diamonds?" She was shocked that he had the same hobby as a certain someone. Lu Tingxiao replied unhurriedly, "I don't like diamonds. I just like how it looks on you." Fuck. Ningxi was instantly shot by an arrow with a small heart. Pooh. Her sweetheart was amazing. He could turn something rotten into something magical with just one sentence. Ningxi leaned over and kissed the man's cheek. "Thank you. Put on for me." Lu Tingxiao picked up the necklace and put it on her neck. "Does it look good?" Ningxi's accessories were mostly jade. She rarely wore diamonds because she was sick of looking at them. However, she felt that the diamond necklace was beautiful. No wonder women liked diamonds. Lu Tingxiao hugged her waist and said, "Give me some time, Xiaoxi. Trust me, I'll take care of everything. The tea party will probably be held in a few days, but Xiaobao will be able to stall for enough time for me to settle everything." Lu Tingxiao calmly comforted her. I believe you," Ningxi said with a complicated expression. However, she didn't know what Lu Tingxiao was going to do and how far he would go. Moreover, the other side was definitely not easy to deal with. If he was forced into a corner, moreover, that person had done her a favor. If it really reached the point where her life was at stake, she might not be able to continue staying out of it. Lu Tingxiao seemed to have noticed her worry. He stroked her hair and said, "The Lu family has a rule that forbids brothers from killing each other." Hearing this, Ningxi was instantly moved. She knew what Lu Tingxiao meant. He meant that if it really came to that, no matter what the other party would do, he would not kill them. Not only because of the Lu family's rules, but also because of her, because he was afraid that she would be put in a difficult position. Lu Tingxiao, thank you. Lu Tingxiao raised his eyebrows. "Are you sure that's what you want to say?" Ningxi chuckled, jumped up, and kissed the man's lower lip. "All right, it should be. I love you." Chapter 1670. These days, Ningxi took advantage of the free time she had after finishing the filming. Every day, she would make time to carefully prepare nutritious and delicious lunches for Xiaobao to bring to school. During this period of time, Xiaobao had been working too hard. It was clearly an adult matter, but he, a child, had to deal with it. Hopefully, it would all end soon. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. The entire Lu family was mobilized, and this socialite tea party that had been prepared for a long time finally began. In order to welcome the young ladies, the entire old mansion had been renovated. It was quaint and quiet, yet exquisite and grand. There were all kinds of luxury cars parked at the entrance, and the well-dressed young ladies were competing with each other for beauty. There were all kinds of styles, dazzling the eyes of the onlookers. How could Lu Jingli not come to gossip on such a grand day? No, he came to stare. At this moment, looking at the exaggerated scene in front of him, Lu Jingli had goosebumps. Sigh. It was fortunate that his brother was in front of him. Otherwise, all of this would have fallen on his head. Jingli, what are you standing there for? Hurry up and pick up Xiao Bao from school. Scum. Also, don't stay out of this. Today, you should also look around and see if there are any girls that you like. Mom, what did you say? The wind is too strong. I can't hear. Lu Jingli exaggeratedly stretched out his voice and disappeared like a wisp of smoke. Behind him, Yin Rui helplessly glared at her son. Forget it. She had to deal with things one at a time. Right now, the most important thing was to settle the matter with Ting Xiao. Annie Lu, why don't I see Xiao Bao? A clever girl had already come up to her. Xiao Bao is still at school. Jingli has already gone to pick him up. Everyone wait a moment. Let's go to the courtyard to drink some tea. Is that so? It's okay. Studying is more important. Soon, Xiao Bao was picked up by Lu Jingli. Although it wasn't the first time the socialites had seen Xiao Bao, when they saw that the little fellow looked exactly the same as Lu Tingxiao, they were still stunned by his cuteness. Even if they knew that Lu Tingxiao had a son with an unlucky mother, and that he would be a stepmother after marrying over, they couldn't help but like such a cute Shota. The little prince is so cute. If I could have such a cute and adorable son, I would smile even in my dreams. I heard that the little prince is actually quite easy to get along with. When Lu Jingli saw that all the girls were deceived by Xiao Bao's adorable appearance, the corner of his mouth twitched as he muttered, "Tsk tisk, stupid humans. You'll be crying later." Little Bun was very efficient. As soon as he came back, he held the thick list of candidates that he had prepared over the past few days and said to his grandparents, "Grandpa, Grandma, we can begin." You just got home. Don't you need to rest for a while? Lu Chongshan's heart ached. There's no need, Grandpa. Little Bao isn't tired. Getting down to business is more important. Little Bun had a serious expression. Lu Chongshan nodded with a gratified expression. All right, I'll listen to Xiao Bao. Let's begin. Are the rules still as we discussed before? Xiao Bao nodded. Yes, I'll set the questions. The questions vary from person to person, and I'll set them according to the situation on the spot. Those who pass can stay and move on to the next round. All right. Lu Chongshan quickly called the butler over and asked him to inform everyone that they could begin. Chapter 1671. Outside in the courtyard, the socialites who were chatting and drinking tea were all given number plates, and those whose number plate was called could enter. The butler tactfully said that everyone could hold on to these signs and play some games later, such as a lucky draw or something. However, everyone was well aware of what these signs were really for. Sai, I'm so nervous. I wonder how the Lu family is going to test me. My family tried all means to find out for me. Tried to get the questions, but they didn't find anything. They only know that the questions are set by the Crown Prince, but they don't know what the questions are. Of course, the Crown Prince is a genius, and his thinking is different from ordinary people. The questions must be especially difficult. The tragedy is that I didn't do well in school, and I've been cramming. What's the use of cramming? The Crown Prince knows everything about music, chess, calligraphy, astronomy, and geography. Who knows what he's going to test on? The scope is too wide. The education that these socialites had received since they were young focused on cultivating their character and some flashy things. If the Crown Prince were to test them on things like physics, mathematics, and chemistry, they really couldn't do anything. These things couldn't be learned in a short period of time. Listening to the discussions around her, Qi Yingying snorted mockingly. Isn't it too late to make a last-minute effort at a time like this? Qi Yingying had always been arrogant, and everyone was a little afraid of her. Although they were dissatisfied with her mockery, they could only complain secretly. However, Qi Yingying was a Harvard graduate, and they had to admit that she was a talented woman. What's there to be arrogant about? Although she has a higher chance of winning compared to us, don't forget that there's still the Guan family. The Guan family has connections with Lu Chongyuan, and they're on good terms with the Lu family. I'm afraid they've already decided on her, and we're just going through the motions. That's right. But even if there's only a glimmer of hope, we still have to give it a try. After all, that was the position that all women dreamed of for a long time. Number 1, Miss Chi, please come in. The butler had already started calling out numbers, and everyone was so nervous that they fell silent. That's right, the first one was Chi Ying. Because of this, everyone was even more nervous. If Chi Ying performed well, they wouldn't have a chance, and they would have prepared for nothing. In the house, Xiaobao sat on the sofa, while Lu Chongshan and Yan Rui sat opposite him. Lu Jingli was afraid that Yan Rui would urge him to look for girls if he stayed, but he was really curious about how his steamed bun was going to test those socialites. In the end, his curiosity won out, and he decided to stay. Moreover, he could also broadcast it live for his brother and little Cece later. After seeing Chi Ying, Lu Jingli was stunned for a moment. Io, the first one was already a powerful character? Hello, big sister. Xiao Bao greeted her sweetly when he saw her. When Chi Ying heard the little fellow's obedient greeting, her tense nerves immediately relaxed a lot. Hello, Xiao Bao. My surname is Chi. We met at the banquet before. Yes, I remember. You are Qi Shuai's sister. Yes. Chi Ying was overjoyed. She had flown into a rage when her little fatty had offended Xiaobao last time. However, she didn't expect that the two of them would get to know each other after a fight, and they got along well. Big sister Chi, I'm going to start setting the question. Okay. Chi Ying subconsciously straightened her back. Chapter 1672. Lu Chongshan, Yan Rui, and Lu Jingli looked at Xiaobao nervously. Then, Xiaobao blinked and asked, Sister, can you sing? Chi Ying was stunned. Yes. Xiaobao said happily, That's great. Can you sing Little Jumping Frog for me? I like this song very much. I listen to it every night, or I won't be able to fall asleep. Chi Ying was dumbfounded. A Little Jumping Frog? What was that? No. The point wasn't Little Crown Prince a genius? Why did he ask her to sing a nursery rhyme for him? But if she really wanted to point out what was wrong, she couldn't say a single word. She was just a child who had just entered kindergarten. She wanted to listen to nursery rhymes to sleep at night and hoped that her mother could also sing to her in the future. This was very normal. Lu Chongshan and Yan Rui were also very surprised that Xiaobao would ask such a question. But after thinking about it, they felt sorry for him. No matter how sensible he was still a child. Xiaobao's question was right. Sister Chi doesn't know how to sing? Xiaobao looked disappointed. Chi Ying looked embarrassed. Sorry, I really don't know this song. Xiaobao asked expectantly. Then do you know other nursery rhymes, Sister Chi? The little guy seemed to like her and even gave her a second chance. Chi Ying looked even worse. Well, I don't know. I'm not good at this kind of song. She had received an elite education since she was a child and didn't know anything about nursery rhymes. Even if she had heard 1 or 2 lines, it would be worse if she sang it with difficulty. She didn't expect Little Crown Prince to ask such a question. She wasn't prepared at all. Thus, Chi Ying, the talented girl from Harvard, was defeated by a song called Little Jumping Frog. Lu Jingli recalled the first time he heard Ning Shi sing Little Jumping Frog to Xiaobao and felt very emotional. At first, he was amazed that his little bun liked such a childish nursery rhyme. Later, he was amazed that little Cece could sing nursery rhymes. As Lu Jingli thought about it, he added his brother and little Cece into a group and then sent a message in the group. First, Chi Ying has failed. Xiaobao's topic was, sing the song Little Jumping Frog, are you guys fierce or not? Very quickly, there was a reply in the group. Lu Ting Xiao, Ningxi, you're the fierce one. My adorable baby is so cute. The two elders didn't have any objections to Chi Ying's elimination. Instead, they started to coax little Bon. Xiaobao, don't be sad. There's still many older sisters behind you. Xiaobao will like them. Right. Xiaobao, let's continue. At this moment, when the young ladies outside saw Chi Ying walking out with an ugly expression on her face, their hearts sank. Why does Chi Ying look so pale? Eliminated? His face is as dark as that. That's for sure. It's over. Even Qi Ying has been eliminated. Just how difficult are the questions? Number 2, Miss Song, please come in. After the second daughter came in, Xiao Bao greeted her obediently, as usual. Then he said, from now on, as long as Big Sister can make me speak within 10 minutes, Big Sister can pass. Chapter 1673. The Song family's eldest daughter, Song Yuyin, didn't know how to react. Make the little crown prince speak in 10 minutes? It's just making him speak. Even if it's just one word, isn't that too easy? Sister, let's begin. Little Bun politely reminded her. Then, he maintained his posture and quietly sat on the sofa. Just as Song Yuyin was thinking about this, the moment the little fellow on the sofa finished speaking, the entire feeling he gave off changed. Just a moment ago, he was clearly an active and cute little Shota, but now, it was as if there was an invisible barrier separating him from the outside world. It was as if he was in a completely different world. Seeing this, Song Yin's heart skipped a beat. She had originally prepared all sorts of things to tease the little fellow, but now, all of them were swallowed up by the child's pitch-black and cold eyes. Lu Jingli narrowed his eyes and sighed to himself. Little Bun really put a lot of thought into this. Cold sweat almost dripped down Song Yin's forehead. After hesitating for a long time, she finally asked Xiao Bao, Sister's family runs a chocolate factory. We have a lot of delicious chocolates. Can I take you to play next time? The little fellow's reaction was as if he hadn't heard her at all. To be more precise, the little fellow didn't intentionally avoid her. His eyes were actually looking at her, but it was clear that the person in front of him didn't enter his eyes at all. It was as if she wasn't the same as him, and he couldn't understand her language. Lu Chongshan and Yin Rui, who had been solemn ever since they heard Xiao Bao's question, now had even more serious expressions on their faces. Xiao Bao's current appearance was like a nightmare to them. As time passed, Song Yin probably wasn't good at interacting with children to begin with. In front of Xiao Bao, she was even more nervous. Her clumsy conversational skills made the atmosphere more and more awkward. Time's up, Lu Jingli reminded her. 10 minutes finally passed. Song Yuyin's first reaction wasn't disappointment or sadness. Instead, she let out a long sigh of relief. It was finally over. She finally understood why Qi Yingying's expression was so ugly when she walked out. Big sister, do you need some more time? Xiao Bao immediately turned into a refined and courteous little Shota and spoke in a very easygoing manner. Previously, all the socialites, including Yin Rui and Lu Chongshan, thought that Xiao Bao would make things difficult for them. But in reality, the little fellow was unexpectedly gentle. Without waiting for Song Yin to speak, the two elders hurriedly spoke one after another about Xiao Bao's generosity. No, Xiao Bao. The rules have already been set. If you change them, it won't count. Yin Rui was anxious. All right, that's it. Lu Chongshan quickly settled down. They really didn't want to continue looking at Xiao Bao's previous appearance. In fact, Xiao Bao's previous appearance made the two of them feel uneasy. It was as if Xiao Bao's normal and cheerful appearance was just an illusion, and if they were not careful, he would become like that again. That was something they absolutely did not want to see. Lu Chongshan and Yin Rui couldn't bear to continue after trying two girls. However, Xiao Bao had already efficiently called in the third person. The third girl's style was different from the first two. The first two were socialites, but this one had short hair and was dressed in a neutral outfit. She looked clean, neat, and valiant, which made people's eyes light up. Chapter 1674. Lu Chongshan and Yin Rui subconsciously straightened their backs when they saw the girl who walked in. This girl was a collateral relative. Compared to the other girls, she was more lively, and it was said that she was quite skilled. Perhaps an extroverted girl like her could compliment Lil Bao. I'm Liang Yu, 23 years old this year. I like to work out, and I've practiced judo, taekwondo. The girl introduced herself simply. Hello, Sister Liang. Please wait a moment. Lil Bao greeted the girl, then turned to look at Lu Jingli, second uncle. I need your help with this question. Okay, no problem. How do I help? Lu Jingli replied straightforwardly. Lil Bao waved his hand, and Lu Jingli immediately strolled over happily, squatting down in front of Lil Bao according to his request. Then, Lil Bao turned to look at the girl. Sister, my question is very simple. As Lil Bao spoke, he did a clean flying kick, which landed on Lu Jingli's temple. However, it was just a feint, and the kick did not really land. My question is, how should this move be countered? Lu Chongshan and Yin Rui looked at their precious grandson's handsome appearance, and their hearts were filled with pride. Liang Yu did not expect Lil Bao to ask such a question, but she had just said that she was good at these things, so it was not a problem for him to ask her what she was good at. Instead, it was very reasonable. Liang Yu deliberated over her words. This move, if there's enough strength, there's basically no way to counter it. At the temple, one kick will knock a person unconscious, Liang Yu muttered, but I can try. Lil Bao nodded. Okay, I'll let my second uncle spar with you, okay? Of course, thank you. Following that, Lu Jingli practiced with the girl more than 10 times, and the result was failure every single time. In the end, Liang Yu could only be eliminated. Jingli, isn't it a little unfair for a man like you to test a little girl? Seeing that 3 people were eliminated at once, and all of them were outstanding, Yin Rui was a little anxious. Lu Jingli immediately said helplessly, Mom, even if you don't know this, you should be able to tell that I didn't even use 10% of my strength just now, afraid that I would hurt a delicate girl like her. If she really has a skill, I'd be convinced. If she can't be cultured, at least she can use martial arts, right? But what she did was completely for show. If you don't have the ability, then don't set up a persona of good martial arts. Now that I've been exposed, is it still my fault? Lu Chongshan comforted himself. Forget it. Let's move on to the next one. It's better for girls to be gentle and virtuous. After a short break, the 4th girl walked in. This time, the girl completely met Lu Chongshan's requirements. She was gentle, virtuous, and good at cooking. My question is, I want to eat the candied haws made by my sister. Is that okay? Xiaobao said. Hearing Xiaobao's question, the girl was stunned for a moment. Her culinary skills were not an exaggeration. She had indeed specially practiced cooking, and both Chinese and Western dishes were no problem for her. But could candied hawthorn be considered a dish? The girl looked like she was in a difficult position. It was obvious that she would not do it. At this moment, Lu Chongshan and Yin Rui were completely on Xiaobao's side. They didn't think that there was anything wrong with Xiaobao's questions. Instead, they revealed disappointed expressions. Chapter 1675. Didn't they say she was a good cook? Why couldn't she make candied haws? They remembered that Ning she had made candied haws for Xiaobao, and he had even sent some to the old mansion. Those candied haws were made into all kinds of beautiful and delicious, much better than those sold outside. When the 4th one was about to be eliminated, Xiaobao's expression suddenly changed. The little boy covered his stomach with his hand and looked in pain. Yin Rui noticed that something was wrong with Xiaobao and hurried over. Xiaobao, what's wrong? I'm fine. How can you be fine? Your face is so pale. Yin Rui was anxious. It's okay, Grandma. It's just a stomachache. Xiaobao comforted her, but soon, cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Why does he suddenly have a stomachache? Xingwu, get the car ready. Get the car ready to go to the hospital. The butler hesitated. What about the ladies outside? Let them disperse first. Seeing Xiaobao so uncomfortable that he was vomiting and convulsing, the 2 elders panicked and couldn't care less about anything else. Lu Jingli frowned. He quickly picked up Xiaobao and dashed out of the door like an arrow at the capital hospital. Xiaobao was sent to the emergency room. Lu Chongshan and Yin Rui were anxious outside, and Lu Jingli hurried to inform his brother and Ning Shi. Dad, Mom, don't be so nervous. Xiaobao's stomach is probably just uncomfortable. Lu Jingli was comforting them when the doctor finally came out. The two elders hurried over and asked, Doctor, how is the child? Don't worry, he's fine now, the doctor answered. Hearing this, Yin Rui finally calmed down. What the hell is going on? Why is he like this? Just as she was asking, they heard hurried footsteps behind them. Lu Tingxiao and Ning Shi had arrived. Where's Xiaobao? How is he? Ning Shi only had eyes for the little boy in the hospital bed. She ran over and grabbed Xiaobao's hand. The little boy's face was pale, and his lips were cracked from dehydration. Ning Shi felt as if her heart was being pricked by needles. What happened? Lu Tingxiao asked. The doctor handed over a medical report. We've tested the child's vomit. There's a certain amount of toxins in the food, which can cause symptoms such as vomiting and diarrhea. Lu Chongshan and Yin Rui's expressions changed. Lu Jingli was a little surprised, but Lu Tingxiao's face was expressionless. What? Food poisoning? How is that possible? Xiaobao's diet has been, Yin Rui said with a frown. Xiaobao has been eating dinner at home these days. That girl prepared breakfast and lunch. Xiaobao didn't eat anything after he was picked up by Jingli this afternoon. He didn't even take a sip of water before he started. This meant that Xiaobao only ate Ning Shi's cooking today. Yin Rui and Lu Chongshan both turned to look at Ning Shi. Ning Shi's entire body and mind were focused on Little Bon. When she heard this, her attention was slightly diverted. What? Xiaobao had food poisoning? And from what Yin Rui said, Xiaobao had only eaten her cooking today. Lu Chongshan's breathing was slightly ragged and his expression was extremely ugly. Tingxiao, it's up to you how to deal with this. Lu Tingxiao said expressionlessly. Deal with what? Chapter 1676. Lu Chongshan was exasperated. You bastard! Xiaobao is your son. How can you abandon your son for a woman? This woman did this to Xiaobao just to stop you from marrying someone else. Are you still going to cover up for her? On such an occasion, Xiaobao's accident had caused the tea party to be interrupted. Coupled with his inherent prejudice, Lu Chongshan naturally thought of Ning Shi as the biggest beneficiary at the first moment. Yin Rui also thought of this. She looked at Ning Shi coldly and stood next to Xiaobao vigilantly. Tingxiao, you have gone too far this time. Ning Shi frowned and was about to speak when Lu Tingxiao gave her a reassuring look and looked at them calmly. Reason? Reason? Do I need a reason? Everyone knows what Sima Zhao is up to. According to you, Xiaoxi did this to stop the tea party, right? Lu Tingxiao asked. Lu Chongshan snorted. Isn't that the reason? Lu Tingxiao said, That's not true. Lu Chongshan took a deep breath. Tell me, why is it not true? Lu Tingxiao said, The tea party is a way for us to stall for time. Why did she stop it? Lu Chongshan, Yinri. The two of them were almost choked to death by Lu Tingxiao's calm and confident words. Lu Jingli's mouth twitched, and he tried to smooth things over. Dad, Mom, can you calm down? We haven't found out the truth yet. Isn't it inappropriate to convict him now? Maybe Xiaobao ate something else in school? Xiaobao never eats anything outside, Yin Rui said firmly. Lu Jingli could only say, Fine, fine, fine. Even if Xiaobao only ate what my sister-in-law prepared, how can you be sure that someone didn't do anything to him? According to what you said, my sister-in-law did this to stop the blind date. So, can I also say that someone deliberately used this incident to frame my sister-in-law? Both of you have been bewitched by this woman. Lu Chongshan roared and was about to continue when he heard a weak voice. Mom is here. Ning Shi immediately held Xiaobao's hand. Xiaobao, you're awake. Don't get up. Lie down properly. Lu Chongshan and Yin Rui had no time to be dissatisfied with Ning Shi calling herself Mom. They hurriedly ran to the bedside. Seeing the little fellow's weak appearance, they felt distressed. When Xiao Bao saw his mother by his side, he revealed an incomparably relieved smile and rubbed his soft face against his mother's hand. Then, Xiao Bao looked at his grandpa and grandma and said apologetically, "Grandpa, Grandma, I'm so sorry Xiao Bao lied to you." Lu Chongshan and Yin Rui looked at each other before looking at their grandson. "Darling, what are you talking about? Did he lie to us?" Little Treasure nodded and enunciated each word with a serious expression. "I lied to you when I said I would seriously consider those big sisters. My real goal was to stall for time. I only have my mother in my heart. No matter how smart, outstanding, or beautiful she is, she's not my mother." I only want my mother. Besides, my mother is the best. Xiao Bao. Ning, she was so touched that she didn't know what to say. Chapter 1677. Lu Chongshan and Yin Rui were speechless as they listened to their son's innocent words. Lu Jingli was almost moved to tears. He mumbled, "Dad, Mom, it's not that I want to criticize you, but sometimes you too are too stubborn. Especially Dad. Why do you always look at people with colored glasses? Although it's understandable that you're afraid of ropes for 10 years after being bitten by a snake, you can't blame everyone. Can you? Shut up, you little brat. What do you know?" Lu Chongshan reprimanded his youngest son and looked at Lu Tingxiao. "Tingxiao, come out with me for a second." Lu Jingli immediately gave his brother a look that said, "Don't worry, I'm here." Lu Tingxiao touched Xiao Bao's forehead and said to Ning Shi, "I'm leaving for a while." "Okay." In the deserted corridor, Lu Chongshan's face darkened. "Tingxiao, are you the same as Jingli? Do you think that I'm stubborn and unreasonable?" Lu Tingxiao replied, "Yes." Lu Chongshan was speechless. Lu Chongshan was so angry that he almost couldn't breathe. "Father, you're worried, prejudiced, and dissatisfied with Ning Shi because you're worried that I might cause the destruction of the entire Lu family if I make a mistake during this critical period," Lu Tingxiao said. In fact, Lu Chongshan and Yin Rui's attitude toward Ning Shi had softened a lot. But because of this incident, their attitude suddenly became tense again. Therefore, resolving this matter was the root of the problem. Lu Chongshan's expression softened. "At least you're still rational. I'll resolve everything in 7 days," Lu Tingxiao said. 7 days? Lu Chongshan was so angry that he almost laughed. Even though his son had always been his pride, it was too arrogant to settle such a powerful figure in 7 days. "Let's not talk about whether you can keep your promise. Even if everything is resolved, what are you going to say about what happened today? How are you going to prove that she wasn't the one who poisoned Xiao Bao?" "I just asked Xing Wu to investigate. There are surveillance cameras at home and at school. During this period of time, Xiao Bao's meals were not touched by any suspicious person. The only one who could have done something was her. I don't need to say anything about the influence environment has on a person. You also understand. Let's not talk about what kind of personality she would have if she grew up in that kind of barren land. Back then, the Ning family would rather have an adopted daughter than acknowledge her. They even sent her to a faraway country. Don't you have any doubts? Other than the fact that she couldn't appear in public, was there an even worse truth behind it? In this circle, there are countless cases like this. How can I not worry about Xiao Bao's mother, the future mistress of the Lu family, being sent abroad just to cover up their shame? How can I not worry about Xiao Bao's mother, the future mistress of the Lu family? Just based on the negligible blood relationship between her and the Zhuang family? Are you sure of her character and that she won't harm Xiao Bao? This was what Lu Chongshan cared about the most. What happened today had obviously provoked his fragile nerves again, causing his long-suppressed dissatisfaction and worry to burst out. Lu Tingxiao said word by word, "First, I will fulfill my promise. Second, I will tell you the whole truth when the time comes. Third, As for father's concerns about Xiaoxi's character, time will reveal a person's true nature. You have always refused to understand her. How can you know what she really is based on your so-called speculation? Lu Chongshan frowned and said nothing. After a long while, he said, "Okay, you said I am biased. Then I will give her a chance." Chapter 1678. In the ward. Seeing Xiao Bao relying on Ning Shi so much, Yin Rui sighed softly. "Xiao Bao, do you feel uncomfortable anywhere?" Xiao Bao clung to Ning Shi's arms and shook his head. As long as his mother was with him, he would be fine. Ning Shi patted Xiao Bao's back and coaxed him to sleep. Then she looked at Yin Rui and said, "Mrs. Liu, I'll give you an explanation about Xiao Bao's poisoning." When Yin Rui heard this, she did not know what to say. She was also a mother. She could more or less tell if a woman was sincere to her child. However, there was no knowing what was in a man's heart. This concerned Xiao Bao's safety, so she really did not dare to be careless. "Mom, what's wrong, baby? Sing." "Okay, Mom will sing for you. What do you want to hear?" "Little Frog." "Okay." When Lu Tingxiao came in, he saw the girl holding Xiao Bao and humming softly. Yin Rui looked at the two of them with a complicated expression. "Cici, should be quiet. Xiao Bao is asleep." Ning Shi carefully put Xiao Bao back on the bed and stood up. Out of the ward, Ning Shi's face suddenly turned cold. Given how much the Lu family valued Xiao Bao, they must have investigated it immediately. If the problem was not with the Lu family or the school, it might have happened when she was with him. Lu Tingxiao took the girl in his arms, and a dark gleam flashed across his gentle eyes. "Don't blame yourself. It's not your fault. Have a good rest and focus on your work. I'll take care of everything." Ning, she seemed to be thinking of something. She looked a little absent-minded and nodded sullenly. "Okay." In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. Too many things had happened in just 3 days. After Song Lin, 3 more major shareholders of Lu's group had changed sides. Yunshin's shares had reached a terrible figure of 28%, and he had openly entered the board of directors of Lu Enterprises. He had won over a group of senior executives and shareholders who were dissatisfied with Lu Tingxiao's harsh rule and had been dissatisfied with him. It had only been a few months since the other party had returned to the country, and he had madly purchased Lu Enterprises shares with a huge amount of wealth. It was like a sharp knife piercing into the heart of Lu Enterprises Group, causing the entire Lu Enterprises and even the entire capital to be in a state of panic. When Lu Chongshan learned that even Qi Kaicheng, who had fought with him at the beginning, had betrayed Lu Enterprises and sold his shares to Yunshin after showing his loyalty to him, he was so angry that he got sick on the spot. Seeing that the situation was getting more and more serious, Yin Rui's face was full of worry. Why would old Qi suddenly sell his shares behind our backs? Was it because of Ying being eliminated at the tea party? But because of Xiao Bao's accident, we had already canceled the tea party. Lu Chongshan was breathing heavily and his fingers were trembling as he said, "Rui, go to the Guan family immediately. Remember to visit them more often. Some things that should be put on the agenda should be put on the agenda. Go and tell Guan Rui that it's my idea." Although there were many candidates for the socialite position, there were only a few suitable ones. The Guan family was very powerful both at home and abroad, and Guan Ziao knew them best. She and Ting Xiao had known each other since they were young and had a certain emotional foundation. In addition, Lu Chongyuan had been playing matchmaker, so Lu Chongshan was most inclined to the Guan family. Chapter 1679. Previously, at Mo Jinzhang's birthday banquet, the Guan family had secretly attacked Ning Shi, which had caused a rift between him and the Guan family. But in the end, it didn't affect him too much. After all, it didn't affect his interests. Moreover, he was already very dissatisfied with Ning Shi. Under such circumstances, his interests naturally drove him to make the most appropriate decision. He had already made a mistake once. He couldn't, He couldn't watch the Lu family be destroyed in his hands. Chongshan, should we wait a little longer? Didn't Ting Xiao say that he already has a solution? Yin Rui thought for a moment and said hesitantly, Solution? It's already been 3 days, and all I can see is Lu Corporation on the brink of destruction. I can't bet the Lu Enterprises on his words. If it was in the past, I could still believe him, but now he's head over heels in love with that woman. Lu Chongshan said with a trembling voice. All right, I know. I'll go, don't get agitated. How many times has the doctor told you not to get angry? Yin Rui said helplessly. And the most important thing is, don't let that woman be alone with Xiao Bao. I know what I'm doing, don't worry. At the same time, in a villa in the suburbs of the capital, Xiao, he was alone in a dark room. The table in the middle of the room was lit with incense and candles, and there was a picture of a woman. The man stared at the picture on the table with a burning gaze, his expression dark. Lana, don't worry. I'll be able to avenge you soon. I'll make all of them pay the price. Dong, dong, dong. Someone knocked on the door. Xiao, he immediately regained his cold expression. Come in. Feng Jin pushed the door open and hurriedly reported, Uncle Xiao, we've settled the matter with the Liang family. When Xiao, he heard this, his eyes flashed, and he nodded in satisfaction. Very good. Money could solve most of the problems in this world. And even if money couldn't shake things, there would definitely be a breakthrough. Because as long as one was human, there would definitely be a weakness. The Lu Corporation seemed to be an unshakable giant, but the bigger the corporation, the more problems there were hidden underneath. Once he uncovered the truth, there would be nothing left to hide. After Feng Jin reported the recent progress, he said hesitantly, but, Uncle Xiao, isn't everything too fast, too smooth? Xiao, he glanced at him and said, You overestimated Lu Corporation. We've prepared for so many years, and this is all we've got. Are you afraid? Uncle Xiao, you're right. Feng Ji-man nodded in agreement. Moreover, they had carefully considered every aspect, so it was impossible for them to make any mistakes. Lu Group, CEO's office. Lu Tingxiao was in the middle of a discussion with Lu Jingli when Cheng Feng rushed over with a grave expression. Boss, I just received news that they went to see Director Liang in private last night. I'm afraid Director Liang is also. Lu Tingxiao had 30% of the shares, and Yunshin already had 28%. Once he obtained Director Liang's shares, his shares would surpass Lu Tingxiao's. Now, the people's hearts were already unstable. If they continued to buy Lu Enterprises shares like crazy, the consequences would be unimaginable. Lu Jingli, who was standing to the side, remained silent. His expression was unusually solemn. Lu Tingxiao said in a low voice, Got it. You can go now. Yes. Cheng Feng replied and left with a worried expression. Chapter 1680. As soon as Cheng Feng left, Lu Jingli, who had a grave expression on his face, immediately smiled like a fox. Brother, we can finally close the net. Lu Tingxiao's eyes fell on the computer screen, and his slender fingers gently tapped on the cold and hard desktop. Unlike the gentleness he showed to Ning Shi, his face was cold and murderous at the moment. Lu Jingli sneaked a glance at the photos on Lu Tingxiao's computer screen and shivered. Bro, don't be so creepy. The other party has been purposely sending you these photos to force you to lose your cool. But who is my brother? Those guys are too naive to use such a small trick to mess you up. Not only was it useless, but it also made his brother's combat effectiveness and ferocity go off the charts. He had seen it once 5 years ago, and this time it was even crazier. One step after another, one pit after another, until the other party completely jumped into it. He was shocked from the beginning to the end. Moreover, little Cece is head over heels in love with you. How could she have any room for anyone else? Hearing this, Lu Tingxiao regained some of the human's expression. Lu Jingli took the opportunity to say, Then can I make my move now? Is that okay? Is it okay? Lu Tingxiao glanced at him. Wait for them to sign the contract with Liang Yu. Oh, okay. Lu Jingli responded while secretly wiping the cold sweat on his forehead. Damn, that was too ruthless. He risked being overtaken by the shares to squeeze out the other party's last bit of flesh and blood. At this time, Lu Tingxiao's fingers that were lightly tapping on the table suddenly stopped, and he slightly raised his head. Time's up. Lu Jingli looked at the time on his phone. A moment later, in a secret industry under the Lu Enterprises, on the top of a green slope, Lu Jingli held a golf club in his hand and swung it out. Then he cheered, "Oh my, I'm so lucky today. A hole-in-one." As soon as he finished speaking, he saw a tall, middle-aged man in casual clothes walking straight in their direction. Although the man was wearing casual clothes, his straight back and vigorous steps were obviously different from ordinary people. Zhuang Liaoyuan stopped in front of the two of them and asked directly, "Where are the items?" Lu Tingxiao handed over a thumb-sized chip. "It's all in here. It contains all the information on their underground arms trade." They were surrounded by a huge golf course, and there were only the three of them in sight, so they didn't have to worry about being eavesdropped. "Are you sure the source is reliable?" Zhuang Liaoyuan took the things with a serious expression. "I'm sure," Lu Tingxiao replied. Zhuang Liaoyuan hesitated for a moment, but finally said, "All right, I will help you hand it over, but what the Black Cat will do, whether it will believe this information or not, is not within the scope of my authority, and I will not interfere." Lu Tingxiao, "Thank you." In fact, the fact that Zhuang Liaoyuan was willing to help him submit, it was already a guarantee. Zhuang Liaoyuan put away the things, glanced at the man, and changed the topic. "I heard that you've been on a blind date recently? I've already told Xiaoxi about the delaying plan," Lu Tingxiao said frankly. Zhuang Liaoyuan snorted. "Don't think the Zhuang family is dead. The reason why I don't intervene in this matter is that I don't want Xiaoxi to be with you. That you're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.